Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much again for tuning in to this panel especially. I'm really excited to have you all here and I'm looking forward to really having a pretty interactive panel for this next hour. This panel is called Which Ajah Fantasy Characters, and it's all about taking a few key players from a couple of the wider known fantasy series and sorting them into which Ajah we think that they fit best. So my name is Kelsey and I'll be your moderator for today. Thank you again to all of our panelists for being a part of this panel and really being a part of the weekend. I know you've been thanked up and down already this weekend, but I can't say it enough. These events wouldn't happen without your participation. So thank you for taking the time. Uh, I'm just going to call on each of the panelists individually to quickly give a brief introduction about themselves. Please plug any websites, social media, or projects that you're working on, and then we will get started. So first, I'm going to start with Jason. Jason, please introduce yourself.
All right, let me unmute myself. So hello, and thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. My name is Jason Denzel. I'm the webmaster of dragonmount.com, which has been around for a whole lot of years now, and we've been covering Wheel of Time and the entire franchise and whatever that means for over 20 years. And if you're not familiar with us, you can find us on social media, dragonmount.com, Twitter. We have a YouTube channel, Instagram, and everything else. In addition to that, I've had the privilege to be a beta reader for Brandon on the last 3 Wheel of Time books. I was a good friend of Robert Jordan's before he sadly passed away. I was involved in the various Wheel of Time movie adaptations before they got to Amazon, and all comic books and all sorts of things. So it's been a long run and a lot of fun to be working on the franchise. And in addition to that, I've got my own books through Tor Books, the Mystic Trilogy, Mystic and Mystic Dragon, which are now available. And I'm currently wrapping up the last book in the series, Mystic Skies, which will be out when it's out. So anyway, but I'm getting close. Anyway, so thanks for having me again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. And if anyone's curious, he does have his trilogy available on our silent auction site up for bid, so please go check that out as well. Next up, we'll hear from Maria.
Hi, I'm Maria Simmons. Nearly 25 years ago, I was lucky enough to be hired to answer fan mail and do filing for Robert Jordan, aka Jim. And here I am all this time later, and I've done a lot more than that. And I'm still working for Harriet, and I am so delighted to be at Spoilercon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us this weekend, Maria. Next up, we're going to hear from Brett, please.
That's going to be really tough to follow. So I'm Brett. I'm from Canada, and I'm part of the Wheel Weaves podcast with my wife, Danny. She's not here because we're currently on book 3. I've read the series probably about a dozen times since I was a kid. I've read about these people like Jason and Maria, but I didn't know they were real people until today. So that's really exciting. But yeah, so thanks for having me, and thanks for putting on the Spoilercon.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you guys taking the time again today. It's a busy Saturday in the world of COVID, so I appreciate it. Next up, we'll hear from Tom.
Okay, cool. So mine should be pretty easy because Jason already did half of mine because I also work for dragonmount.com. So my name is Tom DeSimone. I take part on a YouTube show or a vlog, I guess you could say, with Ebony Adamanis and Kitty Rollo is our co-host of mine on the Watt Community Show, and Dragonmount happily gives us our producers for that, and we have sponsorship from Tor as well as through Patreon. I also work as the director of guest services for JordanCon, and you can find them on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at JordanCon Inc. INC Inc. And let's see, Watt, my Watt knowledge. So I've been reading for just about as long as Maria's been working on the series. And I actually have a character in the series. I am Bayard in a Memory of Light, the prologue character. So there's my little bit there. I got to hear Harriet read my chapter at JordanCon 7 or 8, and I got goosebumps when I just said it because I remembered it. That's about it. Thanks.
Well, that's a fun fact that I didn't know.
I say we're gonna have to sort him into one of the Ajahs later, Tom. We're gonna have to make sure to add that to the list.
Apparently, wildcard character for later. And then lastly, we have Jess and Jen. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jess, your Amerlin Seat from the White Tower podcast. Very happy to be here with my co-host, Jen. Jen, unmute yourself. Introduce yourself to the kind people.
Hi. And I'm your Keeper of the Chronicles from the White Tower podcast. September 18th, I believe, is our official of 2018 is when we started. So we're
2 years old now. We're toddlers.
Yeah, so we are toddlers and going through our terrible twos. We have pretty much every week. We try to do 2 chapters a week, mostly non-spoilers. But I guess we should, since we're talking about how long we've been reading the books, I started my first read about 10 years ago. So I think that's when I started, and I'm just really, this community has been amazing. This is my second Spoilercon. And JordanCon was amazing last year too. You guys, this is a fantastic fandom. So I'm really excited for what this has in store for everyone. So thank you for having us.
And I first started reading the series on the recommendation of a guy in my guild in Lord of the Rings Online. Back in, I want to say 2006 or 2007 is when I started. Got almost all the way through book 9, and then kind of life happened and I dropped off, and then decided that I was going to do the whole thing in like December of 2017, and I blew through the whole thing in like 3 months. So
thank you so much for having us. And I think we're on book 4 now for 2 chapters.
Yes.
So
if we ever get that first episode successfully recorded.
We don't know what we're going to do for a Memory of Light for a chapter, if that's going to be like a marathon podcast episode or like what's going to happen, but that's a future Jen and Jess problem.
We'll worry about that later.
We'll worry about that later. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you everybody so much for joining us once again. And a special shout out to Jason. Again, I just got reminded from Seth that he really got the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast started because of his first retweet on Twitter about Watt Spoilers starting up. And that was like almost 3.5 years ago now. So the Watt Spoilers community and the whole, Wheel of Time fandom, again, like you said, Jen, has been just fantastic to be a part of and get to know people and share different content creators. And the last year or two with everything blowing up, like it's been really nice to see everybody kind of come together and work together on these events and different podcasts. And yeah, it's just been a wonderful thing to witness. Now, I digress. I praise all of you. I'm going to actually get the panel started now. So what I'm going to do, everyone, is call on each panelist individually by name to give their brief summary and opinion of what Ajah they think each character should be sorted into and why. Then after I call on each person, we'll have a round table style discussion to come to a conclusion about that character. So we will bring it to a vote if necessary. If there's a character that we really can't agree on where they should go, we will table it for the end of the panel and have you guys, the attendees, vote on where you think that character should be sorted into. So for everybody who is in the YouTube chat right now, we do have a moderator there who's going to pass me particular comments and questions. So please engage away on the YouTube chat. All right, our first characters we are going to sort are from the series that arguably defined and revolutionized modern fantasy as we know it, The Lord of the Rings. So our characters are going to be Gandalf, Samwise, and Arwen. I think we're going to start with our mentor, our guide figure, Gandalf the Grey, who essentially searches Middle-earth for years for the One Ring, then guides our protagonists through Middle-earth to destroy it. So let's open up with our first panelist, Jason. Go ahead.
All right. I knew you were going to pick on me first. And one, just to tag on the very last thing that you were saying there, Kelsey, about the community, because I wanted to add a quick thought on that, was Maria, I'm sure that you would agree, and anyone else who's watching, who's been around the Wheel of Time community for a long time, whether you've been involved or just lurking or following, you'll probably agree with me that it has been fantastic to see all the newcomers, many that are on this panel right now, Jen and Jess, Seth, everyone who's, and Brett, the people who are on this call and adding into the community now. This is fantastic. I love how this franchise, The Wheel of Time, it continuously reinvents itself with its fandom. Every couple of years, there's a new influx of passionate new people who come, and they're bringing, there's new podcasts and new shows and everything, new conventions, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. So I love that we are continuously adding to the community and evolving it in a positive way. So anyway, but that's it. Now on to the thing. I'm done digressing. Gandalf, 7 Ajahs. I'm gonna rattle things up a little bit, maybe not too much. I'm gonna say brown Ajah, and here's why. I'm thinking about Gandalf the Grey. Now, Gandalf the Grey, yes, he wears a gray cloak, but can we all agree that it's more than that, right? So I'm going with, when he's Gandalf the Grey, I think he's of the brown Ajah, because he's that book nerd. He's in there studying those dusty tomes. He's more, you almost get the sense that he's more interested in the Shire's, the quality of the Shire's, weed, than he is on, other events. He's like become, those events are in the back of his mind, but he's more concerned with, like, he loves life. He loves everything he sees in Middle Earth, and he wants to study it and get to know it. And, it isn't until he gets his butt kicked a little bit and comes back as Gandalf the White that he gets traded up. But I'll let someone else talk. We'll come back to him as Gandalf the White, maybe.
Yes. Thank you.
I have thoughts.
Okay. I know you guys have thoughts. I'm going to call actually on Jess and Jen next, kind of together, to give your quick opinions. And again, we are going to save the roundtable debate factor for after we go through every panelist. So I know you guys want to hash it out, but just do your opinions first, and then we'll get to the roundtable at the end. Go ahead, Jess and Jen.
Gandalf is blue. And I will tell you why. Your boy has been on the Dark Lord's jock since, at the very least, since the evil was driven out of Mirkwood during the events of The Hobbit. The necromancer that they drove out of there, that was Sauron, baby. And that's what sent him back to Mordor. Like, he's been working on this guy for ages. And everything that he does is driven, even the studying and everything, is driven on finding out how to kick this guy's ass and get him out of there. So that he, like, if blues have causes, the saving of the world and the elimination of the Dark Lord's influence on Middle Earth, that's his cause. So thank you. I cede the floor.
Excellent. Jen, go ahead.
With all due respect, I respectfully disagree. I think Gandalf the Grey
Podcast over.
Is kind of, that's going to happen anyway. So when we finish the books. No, I think maybe, I don't know, but in my headcanon, maybe Jordan built the Grey Ajah on Gandalf the Grey. Here's why. I think even with the Hobbit through all the Lord of the Rings, he was the person that was kind of interceding on the Hobbits' behalf at the table for everyone, for them to be included. He was the one that was a peacemaker about deciding where to go. He was the one that kind of brought the elves, dwarves, and hobbits and humans kind of all together by being the person that was interceding on everyone's behalf and kind of calming the room. I think he brought everyone to a level head, because I think a lot of times people with their own egos, no matter what race they were, kind of get in the way of deciding what to do in the fellowship. And he was the great mediator between everyone, kind of overseeing and saying, okay, no, here is our options. And it seemed to me like Gandalf always took a step back from himself from making the actual decision. He let someone else make it with guidance. So I think that's literally what a Grey does. And that's where I'm going to stop. I'll let someone else have it. Thank you.
Okay.
I hate that you're making excellent points. But podcast back on.
This is why we're here, to debate. I'm loving it. Okay, next up, we're going to hear from Brett, pretty please.
So I like going fourth rather, because now I can just piggyback off of people's comments like I said I was going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and agree with Jess. I think that Gandalf is a blue, and largely because when I look at Moiraine as a character, she is, in a large sense, the Gandalf of the Wheel of Time, right? She goes into the village and brings the crew on this journey to like get them out of their little small town. And everything that Gandalf has ever done is really stemmed around fighting the Dark Lord. That's his cause, that's his deal. He studies the papers, he reads the dusty tombs, he gets everybody involved so that he can make an alliance of men and dwarves and elves so that they can all collectively fight the Dark Lord. So blue.
Perfect. Concise, clear, quick. Excellent. Maria, let's hear from you next. Oh,
Sorry.
Maria. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
I'm with Jess and Brett. Totally blue. I mean, he started off as Gandalf the Grey, and then it became Gandalf the White, and then he got up to the real deal, the Ajah that can really kick some butt. So yeah, I think he's blue.
Perfect. And then lastly, we have Tom. What's your opinion?
All right, so Jen, you almost had me. You almost had me there for a second. I was like, wow, you're making some really good points. That's true. But then you talked me out of it also when you started talking about the Fellowship too. And Brett said it exactly what I was going to say, which is he had a reason for doing all of those things. And the reason was his cause, which was to defeat the Dark Lord and destroy the ring. And that was really his driving goal, wasn't to make peace and unite the worlds of men and elves and dwarves and everything. It was to unite them to do the thing. Like he would, if the Dark Lord wasn't there, he'd still be in the Shire smoking pipe weed and hanging out with Frodo and Bilbo. So
I think we'd all like to be there.
Yeah.
A word of a lie.
Oh. But I now I'm hungry. Damn it. Yeah, blue.
Okay.
I'm 100% on blue too now.
That's a lot of blue so far. If everybody wants to unmute, we can hash this out. If you really, Jen, I know you had opinions as well. So we do seem to have more favors for Gandalf being blue, but does anyone really disagree? Do we need to hash this out a bit more, or are we going to go ahead with Gandalf being a blue?
I concede to the floor. I still have my opinions, but I concede with a greater consensus for democracy's sake.
Jason, how do you feel about that?
That's a very nice way of saying what I'm thinking, which is like I'll save my arguments for later. I still have
No, this is where
opinions,
the arguments are supposed to happen.
No, there's a long list ahead of us, Jess.
Entertain the people.
And it's like if I'm gonna die on it, I only have 1 or 2 hills I can die on in this war, you know. So I'm gonna save it. But you know, blue, I get it. Yeah, you know.
I guess.
Yeah, I get it. I guess. I mean, yes, he's blue, but it's like Gandalf. The overall Gandalf is blue for sure, but like I like the idea of his manifestation of him Gandalf the Grey leaning towards something else maybe, and white kind of Gandalf's a white, he's kind of a blue predominant with a little bit of green wrapped in, you know, but whatever. This is good. I'll go with blue.
So as a whole person, you're saying Gandalf is blue, but if you dissect him into pieces, you may be able to construe him to be other Ajahs. Okay, so.
I mean, I don't think anybody can argue that Gandalf contains multitudes.
Yeah, I mean,
and he is the hero that we both need but do not deserve.
Like any character, right? But unfortunately, I'm going to go with the greater consensus of the group. We are going to run with Gandalf being blue. Thank you, guys. Our next conversation piece and character is going to be Samwise Gamgee, or Gamgee, however you want to say it. The sidekick of all sidekicks throughout an adventure he truly didn't want to be a part of. So I'm going to throw the floor to Brett to start this off. You're welcome.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
You're welcome.
Okay. So I'm going to vote for green. And I think this is why. There isn't a better warrior, soldier, who at the heart of himself, he's there in the fight no matter what all the time. Right. And there's nobody who's like more dedicated to his allies that I ever saw in the Lord of the Rings series. And I have to largely go off the movies from what I've seen. I have read the Lord of the Rings books. They were a little bit past my time, I think, unfortunately, just in the writing style. So most of my knowledge comes from the movies. And I think that Samwise, everything from like just helping Frodo, trucking through like the mountains, fighting the spider, like doing everything that he did, it just points to him being a warrior. So
okay, thank you. Next, let's go with Maria. Please go ahead.
Okay, Samwise was one I went back and forth on. I actually ended up writing down blue, but I've decided somehow since then that he's actually brown. He's in this small hamlet, but he's really interested in learning about things that are elsewhere. And he thinks about things and tries to make things work. I'm not that dedicated to it, but I like to claim anybody good for Brown, and Samwise is good.
I mean, that's a good as argument as any. Thank you. Next up, we'll hear from Tom. Let's go with you.
All right. I hate to disagree with you, Maria, but I'm gonna and I think I'm gonna no one has said it yet. I'm gonna say yellow. So I'm gonna directly disagree where Sam does not want to like explore the outside world. Like he constantly is talking about going home and how home is better and how he misses home and all of the things from home. And he wants to cook. He's always wanting to cook. He's always trying to find spices and herbs and healing droughts and stuff like that. I haven't read the books in a long time, but I remember him always dabbling in that too in the books. I could be making that up though. But I'm definitely going to say yellow. So like his driving force isn't to fight, you know, like he if he's push comes to shove, he will fight, but he doesn't like, that's not why he's there. He's more of like a protector and like a guardian almost to Frodo, but only because circumstances are demanding that. And the whole time he's just like, let's go home. Let's go home. Let's go home. Can we go home, please? So that's kind of why I'm leaning toward yellow and away from green and brown. Yeah,
that's very understandable. Samwise is literally like Frodo's emotional and physical baggage carrier. I understand your point of view there.
And not the sidekick.
Yeah,
I'll fight that. But
that's a good mix. I appreciate that. Jason, let's hear from you.
I am 110% with Tom. That was when I saw the Lord of the Rings list of characters that we were going to be discussing, Sam jumped out at me and he screams yellow to me. He is, if he were in the D&D adventure, he'd be your support character. He'd be your support guy there, right? You know, he'd be the healer on WoW or something. Sam is, Kelsey, I like how you put it. He's carrying Frodo's emotional, he's carrying his baggage there, right? He is there to buff Frodo, so to speak, to get him through Mordor, both on the in the movies and in the books. His very character was to be there as support for Frodo and to help him carry this burden. So besides that, he seems like the kind of person that he wants to bring that nourishment, not just through food, but that's a very good, Tommy, that was a great place to put it. He wants to bring nourishment. He's the one he's a family man eventually, hands down. Sam is a yellow all the way.
Okay, that's a couple for yellow now. Thank you. And then lastly, we'll hear from Jess and Jen. Please go ahead.
Samwise Gamgee, the single greatest literary character in the history of literature, and that is not up for debate. I love him so much. Sam has the heart of a warrior. And he will do what is necessary to protect the people around him, to protect the people who are important to him, to protect the world at large. Need I remind you that he killed an entire tower full of orcs and he didn't give a fuck. He was in it to win it, like laid waste. Cirithungal, don't care, gone, dead, all of them. All for the sake of Master Frodo and the world at large. Yeah, no, I gotta go green. Like, Maria almost had me with the brown. Like, because I agree that Sam loves stories. He loves stories of the outside world. He loves learning about all that stuff. I think Bilbo taught him to read, maybe, I think. So yeah, he definitely is a seeker of knowledge, and perhaps he was reticent to actually leave his little bubble. But yeah, I gotta go green.
Okay, that's fair enough. Jen, how do you feel?
Samwise is a yellow.
Okay,
Period.
boosh.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Does everybody want to? Do you all want to open up your mics and let's have a bit of a discussion? It sounds like yellow's kind of leading the way here, but I'm curious to see.
I'd like to petition Maria to switch to green so it could be a stalemate.
Done.
Damn it.
Easy.
We got Maria.
Yeah,
It's
asking
stalemate.
Maria to participate in shenanigans is always just, she'll always
So-
side with shenanigans.
Is there anybody else who can be convinced to green or yellow to tip the scales here?
Oh,
The
no.
only other Ajah I could possibly be convinced that Samwise could be, which no one has mentioned, would be blue, because his
Yeah.
entire cause is to Frodo. You want to talk about something with a cause? Nobody's a bigger cause, and he's like,
to Frodo
watch
and,
over, like,
and to going home. Like
yeah. So
this whole
I
time
mean,
he just wants to get the fuck
he
out
is
of
the
there. He
biggest
wants to go
cause
home.
person, but yeah, I not brown, even though it was a thought, and no, he doesn't scream
The-
battle or sex Ajah to me, either one. So I'm just gonna have to go with my
The
yellow.
only reason,
Sorry.
the only reason
Hey,
I
how
asked-
many kids did Sam end up having?
It's
Like a billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
just
Only
a
with
Hobbit
one
thing,
person,
Ninja.
but only with one person.
Yeah.
you know?
Need one.
Rosie.
I shy away from blue because his causes aren't really like, for the greater good. They're for
Global.
selfish reasons. Like,
Yeah.
that I don't want to, I say selfish, but it's because he cares about Frodo, that he wants to protect Frodo, and he wants to get home himself. So
Mhm.
he does obviously when he realizes that he, like, what the quest that he is on has the fate of the world in his hands now, he cares about that too. But that wasn't like, I feel like it's not a driving goal, like part of him. The driving part of him is more the yellow.
I see him as tugging a braid and can be naive at any point in time in the story.
100%. 100%.
100%.
Far too gentle a soul to be naive.
A little bit more
Far too gentle a
attitude.
soul.
Can we call
Well-
in chartreuse?
We can do that.
Okay. I mean, if we're really stuck on like this yellow-green debate, let's table this debate for the end of the panel. We'll come back to it and maybe throw this one to our attendees to vote on later on. For the sake of timekeeping, I'm going to move us along to our next fantasy series. Is that okay with everybody here?
Fine.
I know. I apologize.
No, I just love Lord of the Rings. I could talk about it all day.
I know. I'm sorry. What we're going to do next is move on to skipping our third character from Lord of the Rings and moving straight into Harry Potter. So we are going to start with, naturally, Severus Snape, the Half-Blood Potions Master and absolute nemesis to the three main protagonists in the series. I'm going to open the floor first to Jess and Jen to give your opinions.
You want to go first, Jen? So, Snape's an asshole. And I think, okay, who in the tower are the biggest assholes? And it's got to be the Reds. Snape's red.
I was thinking, maybe white. No, he's red. He's a red. I'll stay with that.
Okay, great. That was very quick. Thank you. Let's go with Maria next. We'll do all the girls first.
Okay. I wrote down Snape was brown because I went back and forth a lot. And then I thought, who's the character in the Wheel of Time he's sort of like? Because nobody knows what his true alliances are. And is he really for the bad guys or the good guys? And there were so many arguments about Varen, and Varen was brown. So I decided brown for Snape.
Yeah, absolutely. What other double agent can we be reminded of with Snape, right? I'm personally with you there, so thank you for that. Let's move on to Jason. Go ahead.
I am so glad that I'm able to agree with Jess and Jen that Snape is absolutely a red. And not just because of his antagonistic nature. I think that Snape manifests it because just as the red Ajah in the books gradually comes to, it's forced to kind of change its purpose. It's the Ajah that goes through, the Ajah as a collective that goes through the biggest arc, so to speak. It has the biggest change throughout the series. And it goes from being a Ajah of suppression to being an Ajah of connection in a way, with the Black Tower. And or at least it's headed in that direction toward the end of the series, arguably. And I see it that way, my headcanon for it. And I see Snape as embracing that sort of idea too, that initially he's this suppressed, at least we observe him to be this suppressive nature to Harry. And eventually we learn his true motives, and he's really there to have been there all along, sort of in a backhanded sort of way for Harry. And I can see him mirroring that. And yeah, maybe the antagonistic assholishness as well. So yeah, Snape, red, that works for me.
Okay, perfect. Well said. Thank you. Brett, let's hear from you next.
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and agree with Maria as a brown. And originally I was going to put him into like the red or the blue, because like obviously his whole cause is like fighting the Dark Lord. Yeah, he's like a purple Ajah too, because he's like double agent, whatever. And then the whole big issue, I typically used to tend to try to lump the good guys into the blue and green, the bad guys into the red. Just like with Harry Potter, you lump the good guys into Gryffindor, the bad guys into Slytherin, but it's not that cookie cutter, right? So Snape as like a student, and this is my mentality, is when you choose which Ajah you go into, it's when you're like on the verge of becoming an adult, not way longer later in the series. So at the point when you would have chose like which Ajah to go into, he would be the smart potion making, half-blood prince, making his own spells, inventing his own stuff. And that's why I think brown's the right fit for him. So brown, purple.
Okay, we've got some brown votes and we've got red votes. Tom, where do you lie in all of this?
Okay. See, I kept waffling. I kept going back and forth. I was like, yeah, he's probably brown. I was thinking yellow also because, potion making, but he doesn't care about healing people. Even as a kid, I'm sure he didn't care about healing people. He just was like, cool potions. But that's the argument that I was going to make is the same thing when we do the same type of panel at Conjuration and Jordan Con, where we sort characters into Harry Potter houses. They get sorted as children. So I'm just as a quick point of order, though, not all Aes Sedai are sorted like by biological maturity age, because sometimes accepted will be accepted for 30 years. They'll be 50 years old, 60 years old, and they age slower, but they will still be accepted. That happens more often than you would think. It's Egwene and Nynaeve and Moraine and so on are kind of outliers in the fact that they went into being an Aes Sedai. Maria can correct me if I'm wrong on that, as going in so young, or even getting into accepted to be young, as young as they were. But that being said, Snape as a child, he's very interested in researching potions and just learning about them. He doesn't care about their applications, which I feel like would be a blue or a yellow. He's more interested in just learning about them, which would be a brown. Like, he doesn't care about their applications or using them for anything. He doesn't care who benefits from a potion that he discovers or figures out a better use for. He's just like, I figured it out, where he would be like a Ravenclaw if he was a Harry Potter, in that sense. He got lumped into Slytherin, but whatever. So I would say brown, because he's more into the research of things, and then probably immediately black if he was, treated the way he was, which is kind of what drew him to be a Death Eater in the first place too. But yeah, brown.
Okay.
Brown, black.
So that's a little bit even keel once again between brown and red sorting. If you guys want to open the chat, are there sides that can be swayed? Have the reds decided that, maybe brown makes a good point? Or are you like, nah, Brad, he's red. Full stop. What do you guys think?
I concede the points that brown make, because usually, you make very cogent arguments, but at the end of the day, reds are swayed by passion. Reds are swayed by their passion, and that is literally the embodiment of the Sith. It is also the embodiment of the reds. Snape works for himself and his own ends, and what his idea of justice and how his worldview. and that is to me a red. Snape is far too concerned with the people around him and the people in his life than his research is, because I think he's motivated by people and not by research. So that's why I say red.
And he's so mean to a little kid. Like, he's so mean to a little kid. Do you know
A
who
Brown
would be
could be
mean to a little kid?
kid, though.
Do you know who would be mean to a little kid? Elida would be mean to a little kid. Jerk.
See, that's what I'm saying. So like young Snape, brown, but jaded older Snape, maybe red.
Which is the perspective that the reader sees throughout the series, right? We see Snape as an adult. So if we are judging based on the character of Snape that we see, that's maybe something to take into perspective.
I think even as a young man, I see him as red. He's got that. There's a vileness to him, but Jen, you said it spot on. He's driven by his emotions. He's driven by his passions, and he's learned to control them. Later on, he's become a master of controlling those emotions, but he's still driven by them. They are what motivates him, and yeah, absolutely, hands down red.
I feel like ultimately he would just be black. He would pick an Ajah and then just be like, where's the black Ajah? Come on.
I see him being a, maybe he's like the Varen in a way, not in the brown sense, but in the sense of, that deep spy, the deep state spy where, he might sign up to be a dark friend, but really he's got, the heart of the original Ajah.
But he only turned back to the side of the light because he was obsessed with Lily. Like if he wasn't obsessed with Lily, he would have stayed evil.
Again,
Well,
that's a person.
Like
that's a person thing. When he was young, even when he was young, he was motivated by his feelings for her. And when he was older, he was motivated by the feelings of the people that he had around him. So again, when you wake up in the morning, I feel when Snape opens his eyes, what is his first thoughts? That's your Ajah. No matter what age you are, Snape's first thoughts is about who he cares about and who he wants to protect. To me, that's a red. A brown doesn't think that way.
Well, we're getting some comments
drop.
from the YouTube as well, saying that purple and black could come into play here. So maybe he is more of a black, or maybe he is a purple, because he does have that double agent standard. Does this change any of your minds about where he lies?
I would still argue that the purple makes the most sense because, he's evil throughout the series, but the end purpose, the end game is what defines which side you ended up on. And at the end of the series, he's purple because he ultimately flipped back to the good side. I don't like Snape. I don't think that he, redeemed himself in any way, but he was at the end of the series on the side of the good guys. So that
but only because he's a stalker. Can we agree on that?
Well,
Sure.
I
agree.
That's going to be my question. It's an end justifies the means kind of thing. Like, okay, does his motivation for going back to the good guys, does that matter? I think it kind of does. Because ultimately, like who you are as a person, is he really a good person? No.
But being purple isn't defined by being a good person.
Mm-hmm. I don't think.
No, go ahead, Maria.
Just know Ajah is defined by being a good person. There are nasty, non-black people in every Ajah. So.
Elida.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, again, for the sake of timekeeping, panelists, we might have to table this one, unless we can do a quick hands raised for red, hands raised for purple. What do you guys think? Who's leaning towards red? Okay, that is 3. That's only 3. And everybody else was leaning towards brown. 1,
Oops.
3. Okay, so that's a stalemate. Okay, we're going to table that one and put it up to the attendees to vote on later. We are going to move on to Molly Weasley. The most beloved mama bear figure in the Harry Potter franchise. I think let's kick this one off with Maria. You go ahead first, please.
Yeah. I have her as green. I've been playing Harry Potter Wizards Unite. And every time the Howler comes up, I think of the Howler and how she is just gonna not exactly beat her children into submission to doing the right thing, but she's not afraid to embarrass them and be loud. And she's, joins the Order of the Phoenix. She is willing to fight for what the people she loves.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points. I completely agree. Tom, how about you go ahead?
She was one that I was like, this is a tough one. So again, if we're gonna sort her based off of the character that we see the majority of, and not like young Molly Weasley, because we don't even know young Molly Weasley. I would say green too. Yeah, I mean, her driving goal is to fight and protect for her family, but not just her family, everyone that she cares about. Harry, the other children. Like she is a fighter. That is who she is, and we see that when push comes to shove, she is a fighter. And when she kills Bellatrix is one of my favorite scenes in the entirety of the movies and the books. But that's who she is when everything comes down to it. So I think I can. And even with her kids, she's a fighter. Like with the howler and everything, she fights. That is what she does. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely say green too.
Perfect, thank you. Jess and Jen, let's hear from you.
I am going to concur that Mrs. Weasley does in fact have the heart of a warrior. I agree. She's green.
See, I was thinking yellow because of her healing, but man, especially my girl Maria, she laid it down with the howler thing. I'm like, yeah, that's right. She went crazy with that. And she obviously, of course, like what Tom said, I completely agree. Like when she kills Bellatrix, it's like, yeah, it was definitely the rallying moment in the battle.
Well, and my knee-jerk reaction on it too was yellow, because I was thinking sort of like the nurturing aspect of her character, but like deep down,
y'all right.
Your girl's a fighter.
Yeah, y'all, you're right. Your thoughts swayed me on that. So based on the merit of your argument and my a complete agreement with your reasoning, I'm gonna have to go with green, and I'll fight with you guys on that side. That's where I'll end.
I mean, it seems general consensus so far that it's green for Molly, but let's hear from Jason next.
Oh, I'm going to be the voice of dissent here. So I agree wholeheartedly that Molly Weasley has a fighting spirit in her. That she has that there's a part of that mama bear part of her that is formidable, and what she did at the Battle of Hogwarts and at other moments in the series, in combat, she showed some of that, but I can't fathom Molly Weasley signing up to become part of the Battle Ajah, or the Ajah surrounded by, sexy warders or whatever. I see Molly Weasley as a yellow. I see, now, just because she is a yellow doesn't mean that she's incapable of fighting and having a warrior spirit. Look at Nynaeve. No one would call Nynaeve and she's absolutely a fighter, but she's also quintessentially a yellow. And I think that Molly's spirit is about family, about unity, about bringing together loved ones, about nurturing. When she's there, she, in the summers and in between, she's taking care of Harry. She's sending him, scarves at Christmas time to, give him a, +1 warmth factor, to his game. She's there as that supporting, nurturing, loving. She's a yellow, but absolutely has that fighting spirit. But she's in the long line of, she is the Nynaeve of Harry Potter, so to speak, in a sense. So
I completely get where you're coming from with that. The YouTube seems to wholeheartedly think green, but we are going to hear lastly from Brett, and then we will see where everything lies.
So initially I was going to say yellow because of the nurturing, caring, everything like that. Then I heard the arguments that everyone put forward for green, and I was on board with green. But then Jason decided to speak up and basically put all the things that I never knew that I thought into like a very eloquently put speech. So now I'm back to yellow, because I agree that I cannot see Molly Weasley signing up for the battle Ajah. If anything, it'd be closer to blue because of the secret cause of like joining the Order of the Phoenix, first and second iteration, right, as a secret way to fight back. But like frontline warrior, not so much. More so the naive, like if you push her far enough, she's gonna just balefire you, right? So I'm gonna go with what Jason said and go back to yellow.
Okay, panelists, how do you feel about this green versus yellow situation?
We might be in a stalemate because now I'm thinking, like I said originally, yellow. Now these are things that
You want to know what?
So we
Brett
do.
and Jason have me convinced. I'm going yellow.
I don't
I'm
know.
back to
Oh,
yellow.
see, I was gonna say.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah, you know,
Green.
I
like,
think I might go. I think I might reverse. I'll
If your
go back
gut
to
tells
yellow.
you yellow, then you go with yellow.
Yeah.
You
Just
gotta
do
go
what
with
your-
your
do what
gut.
your heart says.
You're right. You're right.
yeah,
So
I'm
that makes
waffling
three
now.
and-
Like,
That makes 3 and 3. So if
Well,
one
I
other
was-
person switches.
I'm waffling now because like,
I know.
I
One
wanted
of
to
us,
try to
one of
avoid.
us.
I wanted to try to avoid like, the nurturing call because she's a mom, I tried to like, not see the nurturing part of it and try to see like past that. But I mean, when it comes down to it, if you strip the circumstances away, I feel like that it might be just who she is,
Like Mama Bear. She is Mama
Yeah.
Bear in a lot of aspects, whether it's her kids, people she's around, her,
man, that's rough.
Well,
Oh,
and I think it's important. I think that it's important too to not automatically equate motherhood with
That's what I was
goodness
trying
and
to, yeah.
nurturing and everything
Yeah.
else. Like Molly
Yeah.
Weasley herself is not solely identified as a mother.
No,
Yeah.
She is a person
yeah.
in her own right, and
Yeah.
obviously the way that she brings people in to care for them regardless of their status as to their blood relation to her, I think
Mhm.
speaks to that part of her that wants to help people, which
Yeah.
is ultimately that's sort of what the yellow Ajah is, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's focused on in Wheel of Time on the healing aspect of it, right? But it's ultimately about helping people and caring for them.
Yeah.
And that to me,
Yellow's also healed the mind too. So like that's like she
Excellent point.
that's yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know what? I'm yellow
Um,
now. I'm yellow.
I know.
Okay.
I'll switch back to yellow.
Yeah.
it's good,
Maria,
Leslie.
how do you feel?
Sticking with green.
Yeah. Okay.
Yay! I love it.
I do think that's 4 yellows though, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. We are going to
5
table them
yellows.
all- 5 yellows. Well,
Yeah,
dang.
Jen switched too.
Right. Okay. So I
did.
mean, sorry, YouTube. I'm sorry, Maria. It seems the consensus is yellow.
Maria,
No, man.
the consensus of YouTube, at least.
The people are
Okay.
behind you, Maria.
Yeah, you won the popular vote.
Okay, we have 13 minutes left, apparently, guys. I'm being notified. So we're going to move on again to our next series, the Mistborn series. So our first character we are going to talk about is Vin, the main protagonist of the Mistborn trilogy, a Mistborn herself, and, a jaded character due to the rough life of the planet that she lives on and how she grew up. So to kick this off, I think we'll start with Tom. Why don't you go ahead first on your thoughts with Vin?
Oh man, that's so rough. She's such a complex character. Like mentally, like she's so
Oh, don't
man.
dive in too deep. We got 12 minutes now.
I know. Oh man. All right. Hot take. Just a hot take.
Hot take.
Green.
Okay. Green. Boosh. Jess and Jen, what do you feel?
I could be swayed easily by this because I know the least about her, but I want us to go with green from what little I know. So green.
I don't know her.
Okay, that's fine. We will move on to Jason. What do you think?
hot take, green, but yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
I
but
know
green.
she's a multi-layered onion, that's for sure. I'm sorry to speed things up as much as we have to. Maria, what do you feel?
I have green as my first choice.
Okay, and lastly, Brett, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree, but it goes from runaway as a novice to blue, and then finally landing on green. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. She is,
and obviously the purple thing too going on. So
okay, so in a roundtable discussion, you guys would all kind of generally call Vin a green Ajah member.
Yeah.
With that.
Okay, perfect. Well, Well, that was simple. Sorry to rush things along.
There's always going to be one of those, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I hear ya. The next character in the Mistborn series we will talk about is Kelsier. Let's start with Brett. How do you feel about Kelsier?
I would say red, because all you have to do is replace the whole, hunting down channeling men to hunting down noblemen. And then you have a red, which is what Kelsier is, because he sees the problem, and the problem is, very easy to solve when you're a hammer because everything's a nail, and it's just like kill all the noblemen. So
yeah, he definitely has the narcissistic tunnel vision for sure to accompany that. Jess and Jen, what do you think? I guess you guys haven't read the series, so I guess if you don't have an
I knew a little bit about Vin, but Kelsier cannot weigh in. So
okay.
that's kind of easy.
No problem at all.
I think that was the one that somebody said yesterday. He's daddy. So
no. That was Dalinar from.
Okay, never mind.
The Stormlight Archive.
No,
different person.
Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I was for the exact same reason. I was going to say red. Like he does not care. She shows he doesn't really care about Vin. Care, but he doesn't really care about her well-being if he can use her to his own ends, which is, I feel like a very red thing. Like he has one goal. It's not even a cause. It's just it's more passion. Like Jen and Jess said earlier, he has a passion for probably good reason to hate noblemen, and he doesn't care if they're good noblemen, if they're maybe they're not bad. He wants to kill them all. So
yeah, they're all painted with the same brush.
Yep.
Okay, Maria, what do you think?
Okay, I didn't actually have one for him because I read Mistborn and I remember Vin very well, but Kelsier, not so much. So I kind of left that, but I'm with the guys for red.
Okay.
During their arguments, I can go that way.
Okay. So lastly, we have Jason. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with red. But a quick note that it's been a while since I read the book too, maybe 10 years or something. But my first instinct when I thought about him was actually blue because of the cause. And Tom, I had forgotten. I'm a little fuzzy on like how it was an obsession specifically with his one mission and the nobleman thing versus his secret larger cause of trying to I don't know, rid the world of the Lord Ruler. But it's all kind of, it's been a while since I don't remember a lot of details, but I do agree that red is a good fit. So
okay, so that sounds like a resounding red from the panel here. Thanks everybody. We are going to now move on to our last series and of course our favorite series, The Wheel of Time. So the characters we have to sort are Perrin, Semirhage, and Tuon. We're going to try to get to all of them. This might be tricky. We are going to start with Perrin. Which Ajah do you think he could be sorted into? Maria, let's have you go first.
There's a lot of ways Perrin could go, but I just keep thinking brown. I never wrote anything down, but I just keep thinking brown because he thinks about everything and studies things and tries to figure out what to do. So brown. Not married to it, but
Okay. No, that's perfect. Brett, what do you think?
So for Perrin, I'm going to have to fight on the side of gray, and the large reason because he is, arguably like unparalleled in his ability to bring people together, form allegiances, bring people over to his cause, like as unwilling as he always seems to be in literally everything does in the like entire series. He's not happy about it, but he's phenomenal at mediating and bringing people in, whether it's like the Two Rivers soldiers, the wolves, the white cloaks, like he brings people together. So gray.
Okay, gray for Perrin. Thank you. Jason, what do you think?
Brett, you convinced me. I'm going gray. I love it. I've been looking at this whole list of all the characters we were going to potentially talk about today, and I was like, we got to make sure we find at least one gray or a white, in there, because the blues and reds and greens are easy to pick out in these grand epics. But I like your reasoning there for gray. Green Ajah would be a little too on the nose, I think, for Perrin. The battle and all that, but he rejects it. I agree. Gray is what he fits.
Okay, perfect. That's 3 for Gray. Jess and Jen, you're up.
So my problem with the idea of him being gray is that I'm not convinced that Perrin as a person on his own merits actually has the ability to do any of those things. I don't think he's a born diplomat. I don't think that he is the kind of person who can rally people to his cause. I think that's his big Taviran energy. I don't think that he himself as a person actually had anything to do with it. To Maria's point about him being a thinker, about him trying to figure things out all the time, I was thinking Brown, but he's not necessarily a seeker of knowledge, which is like the big thing for the Brown Ajah, right? So I'm going to say Perrin's white. He's a thinker.
Okay.
What does the white Ajah do? They're about logic. Logic, that's philosophy. That's
Elsa,
thinking.
you kill me with
That's
your
just like
reaction.
figuring out just the nature of stuff. And I can just see Perrin sitting around on his butt with like his wolf, just thinking about stuff.
He does literally look at every single side of every single situation.
Just thinking about the nature of something, you know?
Jen, what do you think?
Did we agree to a consensus before this panel start that if somebody could be like not in an Ajah, like and accepted forever for the rest of their life because they'd never be able to pass the test, can we do
So
that with Perrin?
He'd be
your
put out of the
beige.
tower.
He's out. He's out.
Perrin would be the kin. They'd kick him
Go
out.
back to being a wolf. That I can't put him in he's not worthy of an Ajah. That's I'm gonna drop.
That was
Okay.
raw, dude.
Well, let's hear lastly from is it Jason that I've missed so far? Jason, are you up next?
No, you got me, but I always have more thoughts.
Oh no, if I missed
Tom
somebody,
hasn't gone
maybe
yet.
it's who?
Tom
hasn't
Tom.
gone.
Sorry, Tom. I don't mean to cut you out. I swear. Go ahead, Tom.
It's okay. I was like, but I have the beard. I can weigh in because me and Perrin. No, I'm joking. Man, I see. I don't think Brown, because I don't think his driving goal is like but White that's a convincing argument for philosophy, because I could totally see him being that friend where it's like you reach a consensus on something, and you're like, all right, we're gonna do this thing, and this is the way we're gonna do it. And then right before you do it, but we could go like this. We could do it. Maybe it'll be better if we like. That would be Perrin. That would totally be Perrin. The only other thing I could see is which I was thinking, and no one said yet, was Yellow, because he very much wants to protect people. He very much wants to help people. He's a builder, which is kind of like healing in a way. Maybe not physically people, but like his surroundings. He's always mending things and fixing things, which is kind of what he does with relationships sometimes too. I love Perrin and Fail, so I'm gonna just say that real quick. Like I don't feel the slog. I don't hate them. I don't hate their characters. I don't hate their arc like a lot of people do. I love it, so I'll leave it at that. But oh man, Jess, man, you really pushed me toward White. I'm gonna side with White on that, because I could totally, like I said, I could see him being that friend where he'd be like, but maybe we could. Yeah, that would. Yeah.
What we've learned from the trolley problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
The friendships you've made along the way.
Yeah. Okay. Let's open this up. We have 3 for Gray, 2 for White, and a Brown. How are we feeling about?
I got to argue against the White, because I see the thinking and I appreciate that level, but I think Perrin is still driven by a lot of emotions. Think of all his drive with Fael. It isn't logical to, risk your whole army for Fael. It isn't logical to rip off Aram's arm when you're in berserker mode.
So is he red?
I was going to say, by that logic.
Red came to mind. I don't know if Perrin, I really like what Brett was saying about the gray. That's kind of why I settled there.
I like what Brett said too.
He does, you mentioned, Jess, you said you talked about how he looks at things from every angle. I think that's actually an argument for gray rather than for White, in that it's a part of, weighing all options and making those hard decisions. He might not want to be that diplomat, but it's him. He might not want to be the one having to be the judge in the decision. Heck, he was a judge in book 13, wasn't he? And he put oh no, someone else was, I forget, but there was a trial or something. So
well, but if we go back to the Molly Weasley argument where she wouldn't choose the Green Ajah despite having the heart of a warrior, like if Perrin wouldn't choose to be a diplomat, why would he choose the Grey Ajah?
Maria and Brett, what do you guys feel?
I'm still siding on the gray simply for the fact that I don't think you can separate the Taviran-ness from the person, because if you do that, then the same argument can be made for like Matt and Rand of becoming completely different people without what makes them them. So it's part of him, and you know, as much as he hates it, he is a mediator. So
well, I think my argument there would be like the way that being Taviran works is that it just sort of it doesn't give you like a bonus to your charisma or anything like that. You know, it's not like it suddenly made him more eloquent or charming. Like it just shifted the pattern so that people are doing and saying things that they never would have said. And that wasn't Perrin's influence. That was
the wheel.
That
it's
was
the wheel that
influence.
chooses. And Maria, I guess you can correct if we're wrong here. Isn't it? It's the wheel that chooses the Taviran, right? It's the pattern.
Yeah, and Maria, what do you think?
And also, if he's so diplomatic, you know, why does he whack people who have been protecting his wife in the head with a hammer? I'm still annoyed about Rollins.
Me too.
I don't have
call him a red. Let's call him black. He's black. Let's do it.
He'd be put out of the tower.
Let's kick him out.
He'd go spend his time in the grove thinking and petting wolves.
He's an ogier. He's not able to have the channeling.
All right. You know what we'll actually do for Perrin? We'll throw this one directly to YouTube. So I know there's a bit of a delay, but hey, YouTube, the most comments for either gray or white, fire them away. Those are your two options. Whichever one has the most comments, that's who we'll pick for Perrin. So we are currently 1 minute over our time slot, but we are going to end off on one last character. So would you guys prefer Semiraj or Tuon to debate? We'll let you guys decide.
Either one of those are easy.
Yeah, I would say do you want easy or slightly more difficult? Because
we can do lightning round. Do both of them. Lightning round.
Lightning round for both. Semiraj, go. Jess and Jen.
Oh, my bad.
Yellow.
Yellow. Jess?
Yellow.
Maria?
Black masquerading as yellow.
Black, yellow, sort of like a mud color. Tom?
I'm gonna agree with Maria.
And Brett?
Yeah, I agree.
The black, yellow, or just yellow?
Black, yellow.
Yeah, okay,
black
perfect.
And yellow, black and yellow.
I didn't realize black was an option. I was thinking of her being
saying,
Forsaken. I just assumed black Ajah. But yeah, no, black, yellow.
Yeah, black, yellow, yeah.
Black, yellow, perfect. And then lastly, Tuon. Rapid fire. Tom, go ahead.
And that's tough. I'm gonna say red.
Ooh, okay. Maria.
Red.
Okay, Brett.
I would say green.
Oh, interesting. Okay, Jess and Jen.
Red.
We're talking cold, dispassionate logic. She's white.
She is very dismissive and aloof, right? Like,
but she does have
anyways,
passion.
Jason.
I don't know. I'd still say red.
Jason.
I'm with Jess. 100% white.
Oh man, that's like across the board. Okay, let's try Tuon out a little bit. Yeah. So why reds, you two? Whoever chose red, why do you think red?
She has a very narrow-minded focus and an uncaring nature toward channelers, where it's just like, you know, instead of just being, you know, male channelers, it's all channelers. Like she would, if they didn't have a use, she would kill them. She doesn't view them as human. She views them as subhuman. She might even, I mean, like, I don't even think she's entirely convinced at the end of the series that they're not. She says that men would be, you know, chained leash too if they could, not knowing that there is a way to do that. But, you know, that's why I say red. She has a very narrow-minded focus on channelers and their stance in life, where I don't
Her
see
red
it
because
as
of
a-
her diplomacy situation. She's the
Oh,
worst
yeah.
leader I've ever seen.
She comes
She
down and
only
just
thinks
lays
for
it on the
herself
table.
all the time. Like she's like, no, I'm gonna kidnap. I'm gonna worry about my husband. I'm gonna worry about how I feel about my personal diplomacy. Oh, what? My homeland's just been absolutely eradicated. Oh well, I guess I gotta have to build over here and do the things that I want to do, like and not listen to anyone else ever, including the Dragon Reborn. She's the worst monarch to ever monarch. I don't care what your culture is. She's red.
Red.
She's all about herself.
Yeah, you want to
100%.
know what? I'm with you guys. You convinced me, Red.
She's the Elida of the Shanshan.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's a true statement.
Okay, those who voted for white, why? Why is 2 on white?
Cool, calculated, thoughtful, dispassionate, not driven by emotion, knows what she wants, thinks about everything logically. She's when she wants to manipulate, she manipulates. When she's in control of what she's doing. I don't see, she might not be wise per se, to your point, Jess, at all times, but I do think that she's in a lot of ways masterful when it comes to controlling her emotions and being, not letting them better her. And everything is driven by intellect. Like you said, like, oh, my homeland's been taken over, it isn't a panic. What do I do? It's okay, what do we do next? What's the next step here? Okay, and yeah, if this person is, like she might believe or not, or care or not, if a person deserves to be enslaved, but she's thoughtful about how does this play out in the great calculus of my life. White.
That's very understandable. Unfortunately, Jason, we do have a resounding red vote going on.
Maria has
Maria's
thoughts and
raising.
feelings.
Please,
I would like to
Maria,
hear
share
them.
them.
I mean, he's talking about how logical she is. If she sees a path of ants going the wrong way, oh my God, everything's going wrong. She is so superstitious, which is not
Logical at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an excellent point. I
There's
forgot about that.
That's a great point, Maria. But however,
She doesn't think anything through.
however, there's a certain twisted logic to that. She's super adherent to it, to the point of that even though it's illogical, it's logical to her in a sense. Like, those ants cross my path, well, of course that means that it's gonna rain tomorrow or whatever. To her, it's almost scientific, and she approaches that illogical thoughtfulness with logic, like I just did somehow.
I'm just gonna.
Just because she approaches
Sounds
it
like
like science
the
doesn't
real
make it
world.
science.
Yeah.
So.
I agree, but she herself thinks like a white.
Yeah, she doesn't think
Okay.
things through. I don't think.
Help
I
me
am-
out, YouTube. Help me out,
I'm
YouTube.
sorry, panelists. As fun as that ramble was, I do have to cut it short. We are 7 minutes over time. So what I'm going to do is thank you all for coming. I think we had 2 characters that we didn't really settle on, Samwise and Snape. Those 2 were really undecided. So if we want, we can take this chat into the Discord and settle that after this panel is finished. But we do have to prepare for our next event. So thank you, panelists, so much for joining us for the Witch
Thanks for having
Ajah.
us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Good
no
fun.
Yeah,
problem.
thank you.
It was a great time.
I really appreciate
Great
the
talking
time
to
you
all
guys
of you.
took.
Yep.
Yeah, so thank you again, attendees, as well, for chatting in the YouTube and being here with us. Our next event today is in 20 minutes, my goodness, the Varen on Trial panel. So stick around for that.
I'll
It
be
is-
on for that, playing as Moraine, which is going to be a challenge.
And
I
that
can't
is
wait.
the
Great.
only spoiler we're going to give you about that panel until we get there. So see you guys in 20 minutes. Panelists, thank you again so much. I really appreciate it. And everybody else, we will see you in the Discord.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Night.